Hello, this is Ray Krina, and today we're going to be going over creating Blu-ray menus using After Effects and Photoshop to create animated buttons and overlays. So I've already created a After Effects project here, and the first thing you'll notice is that we have a background video here, and this isn't anything special, but it's just a video I use that will be behind the buttons. We actually aren't going to be using it too much today, but I just wanted to show you what settings you need to use to render it out, and then in future tutorials we'll be using it actually in Scenarist and in the HDMV Flash Viewer. So if we render this out, the settings you want to use, if you click on for your output module where it says lossless right now, if you go down to H.264 Blu-ray and then click on Format Options, here you have different settings for Blu-ray. This is the one that I'm going to be using, 1080p 23976. And if you want to adjust your quality, you can go down here and bring up your target bitrate and your maximum bitrate a little bit. 25 and 30 is probably pretty good, so I think we're going to be okay with that. Hit OK, and OK again, and we would render this out. Since we're not going to be using this, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So that's our background video. Now for our actual buttons, created a pretty basic menu set here. You can see they animate in and then fade to orange. And what will happen is this will be our normal state, and there is no animation for our normal state. They'll just sit there black. And when you select something, the blue bar will animate in, and it'll stop here at the 10th frame. And then when you select something, it'll animate out to our orange frame. So what we're going to do is we are going to first save this as a image, and we want to use PNG, RGB, and alpha. It's very important that we have an alpha channel in here so we have our transparency. Hit OK. And I actually already saved them. I'm going to delete them real quick so we can recreate our images. So we have a clean folder. Okay, we're going to save it as main menu NOR for normal, just like we did in our last tutorial, and hit save and render that out. Now for our next set, these are going to be our selective animation files. We're going to set an in point on the next frame and an out point at the 10th frame, so that's where we want our animation to stop. Now instead of rendering out a still frame, we're going to render out a sequence. And we want to check our settings here and go to PNG sequence. Set this to RGB and alpha and no compression. Then we are going to uncheck use comp frame number, and that will start our animation at 0. Now if we go in here, this is what we're going to be saving the file as, and we're going to be saving this one as main menu select. And then these two number signs here, those are just saying that's what it's going to be named based on the frame number. So first one will be 0, 1, and so on. So we'll hit save and go ahead and render that out. Now we're going to do the same thing with our last 10 frames. And we'll save this one ACT. Hit save and render. Now that's actually all we're going to be using After Effects for today. So now we're going to go back into Photoshop. And it's a very similar process to what we did before. So we're just going to go to File, Scripts, Import Folders to Layer. and this is the folder I saved everything to, so just hit choose, and you're just going to wait it out. You can see over here it's importing them and changing all the names appropriately. Now if you remember in our last tutorial, we then had to slice this. Use very, very close slicing points, but we should be okay. Zoom in, make sure that I'm right where I need to be. Okay. So now, again, as a refresher, we're going to go to Save for Web and Devices. Hit Save. Remember, HTML only, and use the designer settings. I'm just going to name this main menu. Okay, now we're going to go back to the scripts folder. We're going to say Slices to Scenarist Designer. We're going to choose that HTML file we just created. Hit Open. You're going to start seeing it's going to go through all of these, start copying and pasting. Again, this will take a little bit longer than the last one we did. It's because there's so many more images. We're dealing with 20 images this time instead of 3. Okay, so here we are. Again, it sometimes leaves an extra selection here, so we're going to deselect that. Now if we look at our buttons here, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. Sometimes what happens is you get an extra slice if you don't slice very correctly. So what we're going to do here is see what happened. Okay, that's our play movie button. Scene selection, setup. So you see there's nothing happening here. And that's our special features. So what this button probably is if we zoom in real close, you can probably see there was probably a little bit of a drop shadow either down here or up here or something. Normally I try to be a little bit more careful about our slicing. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. Probably won't notice a difference without it. So now we have our 4 buttons, and if you look at each one, you can see we have all of our animations that named them appropriately to what we want, and everything looks good. Now one thing I didn't show in the last tutorial is you probably should be renaming these buttons. So this is the special feature button. Of course it's a little confusing when it says button group 5, and you don't want the author to get too frustrated with you for not naming things. So we're going to name that special features. Now, you could probably get away without actually renaming the layers. These are just going to be the file names, and the authors probably won't be dealing with them. Just these two things are mostly what you want to worry about. That's the names they're going to be seeing. And we're also going to change our names up here to the main menu. Actually, we'll just call this tutorial 4, tutorial 4, and then our page name will be main menu. The reason why we're doing that is this is actually the page name main menu. And what I want to show you is if we follow the same tutorial that we did before with just Photoshop, we can actually make a scene selection PSD also, which I did here. You can see it has a background image here which matches our last frame of the other menu. So what I'm going to do is actually just drag and drop this scene selection page, holding the shift key into here, and now we have a main menu page and a scene selection page. And one of the nice things about BluRay is you can seamless jump between pages without the background image resetting or changing, and it makes just a real seamless looking animation and makes the menus look really cool. So now we're all set. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a PSD. Now what we can do is, of course, same way we did before, export to Scenarist Designer PS. This is again going to take a little bit longer because we have so many more buttons than we did on the last one. Okay, so if we go over here and we click where it says tutorial 4, you can see we have 2 pages here. And if we go to export, hit OK, we'll export out our Scenarist settings and all the files and all the slices. So we can close that. We can close that. And now if we go to our tutorial 4 folder, you can see this is our folder we're going to give our author, HDMV folder. This is our XML file, and we have all of our slices in here. And you can see there's the animation there. So that's pretty much it for the After Effects menu tutorial. The next time we'll be talking about how to use these files with the HDMV Flash Viewer for client approvals and also just for your own QC purposes. Until next time, thanks again for checking us out. Bye.